Welcome to Catholic Messenger Conversations, our monthly podcast with Bishop Thomas Zinkula. I am Barbara Arlen Fye, your host. Today we are following up on Bishop's prayer intentions and his desire to keep the people of this diocese close to his heart through prayers submitted to him. So, Bishop, back in March, you shared with listeners your invitation to the people of our diocese to send prayer intentions to you. How many prayer intentions have you received? Just curious.
Well, a lot, actually. I've been keeping track of different categories, and so I could easily count them up, and so probably 500 or so.
Wow.
And it started out, there's a lot at the beginning, lots and lots and lots. It's a new thing, and people jumped on it, and it's fast and furious. But now it's quieted down to maybe, 10 or 12 a week.
Oh, okay.
So it's more reasonable.
So we should publicize it some more then, right? So we can add to your list?
No, that's probably fine. It'd probably be good to remind people forget or people didn't pick up on it the first time, whatever.
So how would you categorize the prayer intentions you've received?
I from the beginning, I kept track of different categories just for the heck of it. And just kind of wonder what people are going to want me to pray for. So there's, in terms of the most often, most frequent requests, the one by far that the kind of intention is with regard to physical health. So there's probably about 150 of those 500 asking to pray for whatever it is, a zillion different kinds of things dealing with people's physical health and then mental health, probably 40 to 50.
Wow.
So interesting. That says something about what people are concerned about and want God's help with. And then other categories of the larger, the most frequent requests are like death, people who are grieving, asking for prayers around the death of a loved one or to pray for a loved one who died. Lapsed Catholics, a lot of is probably so. With the death, maybe there's 5, 10, 15, 20, about 25 for that. Lapsed Catholics, another probably about 25 family members who've no longer practicing, and then probably about 15 or so people asking for looking for stronger faith, asking me to pray about that. They can grow in their faith.
That's cool.
Employment, finance issues, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 or so. Those kinds, that area, praying for somebody who's having difficulty with regard to employment or finances, they're struggling financially. And so relationships, a lot. That's actually probably second after physical, or third after physical and mental health. So there's, it could be any number of things with regard to marriage, just family struggles, relationship struggles, reconciliation, friends, people praying for a good spouse for their child, or somebody looking for a spouse for themselves, So there's probably 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, a big significant area. Single parent, all kinds of stuff, family stuff, children stuff. Then world issues, peace, unity, end to violence, justice issues, about 20 of those. People asking for, looking for the Lord's mercy, for forgiveness, with regard with their relationship with God, in families, probably 10, 15 of those. So that's the bread and butter of prayer requests.
Those lapsed Catholics are the ones worried about them should have come to your Ragbri Mass.
Yeah, really.
You could have given them all the skinny on that.
Yeah, no, that says that that people are concerned about that, and that's why we're working on that. Obviously, with regard to our evangelization efforts.
Exactly. So, how often do these prayer petitioners identify themselves? Do they?
I would say most of the time, but not always. But most of the time they'll identify themselves.
Does that surprise you or not?
No, it's what I'd expect. I mean, there's no reason that I know who they are exactly, you know. I mean, you know, the person they're praying for, they always, pretty much always give me their first name, either where it's asked for it or in their narrative.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
That person's name. It's nice to have a name, you know. But
of something they're praying for. Do you review the prayer intentions daily as they come in, or in a batch, or how do you do that?
the way it's kind of sorted itself out is that my executive assistant or administrative assistant or whatever she is, Emily. She generally will print them out on Fridays, and so I take it home with me to my apartment and have them there to pray with.
So do you pray at that time, or do you pray throughout the week? Do you like kind of take a batch here to pray on Friday and then another batch on Monday, or
no
section them out?
No.
Okay.
The way I do it is, I mean, it depends on kind of what my schedule's like and if I'm, running around but it's whatever. Whenever I have some time within like that weekend,
okay,
I'll read them and start praying for those intentions, and I'll have them I have a chapel in my apartment, and that's where I pray, and so that week I'll go back to them periodically and remember what I've been asked to pray for. So it's some of them kind of stick with me,
right.
Along the way during the week that.
Yeah. Do you find yourself thinking about someone, thinking, gosh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, for sure. And so so they're just there for the week, and I'll look at them periodically, and in terms of, it's not like a matter of time exactly.
Right.
It's like how much time with the first in a parent's scheduled prayer do you spend praying for your children? How much time? Well, it's like that kind of a thing. It's kind of it's on your mind,
right?
Throughout the day, and there's maybe specific times during when you're praying, and then you bring that to your prayer. It's just like that.
Right. Is it kind of like a conversation with God, or do you when you're praying for these people?
I know I'm just sitting there
and
with
thinking
God,
about their
sitting
needs.
there. God knows their needs, and I do, and we're just we're together reflecting on these needs, and it's just kind of being with God and being with that person.
That's cool.
On this particular concern of someone's.
How about prayers that are sent to you in languages other than English? How do you get those?
I was going to ask Emily about that, but I forgot. So I could text her real quick. But I think somebody translates, Miguel, I think, Marino, our director of cultural ministry. Somebody translates them.
Oh, that's good. And then how much time do you spend in your chapel praying, reflecting over the prayer intentions? Is it like, I know you don't put a timer on.
No, it was what I already answered that.
Okay,
that's.
And what surprises have surfaced from these prayer intentions?
Oh, there's lots of surprises, but a couple that kind of come to mind are, so someone asked me to pray for my niece's daughter. Right? So I don't have very many relatives in the Davenport diocese, but there's a couple cousins, not my niece's daughter, my cousin's daughter. So there are a couple cousins in the diocese, and so I actually knew that her daughter was dealing with cancer, and so it was kind of fun that somebody asked me to pray. I don't know if they know that I'm related to this, maybe they do, but it was kind of interesting that I'm praying for somebody in my own family, kind of a thing. Somebody asked me to do that, which is kind of. And another one that was kind of fun, interesting was there's some people I know very well from Dubuque, as a priest there. They asked me to pray for their daughter. She was growing up when I was, a young priest, and then she has cancer, and they were asking for some prayers for her. And so she's in one of our parishes in the diocese. And so they were some people from Dubuque that I know from there asking for prayers for their daughters, who I knew growing up, or when she was growing up, and I was a young priest, and she's living in our diocese now. So that was kind of a nice surprise, nice connection.
How often do people repeat a prayer request? Do you get like repeats from certain people or no?
Not so much. I mean, a little bit of that. It's maybe more often the case where, there's a few people I hear from regularly asking me to pray for different things.
Oh, okay.
So there's that, but in terms of the actual request, I mean, it could happen. I just didn't notice, didn't pick up. There's lots of them, and but I don't notice that so much. People ask for the same thing over and over, but there are people who come to the trough regularly.
Okay. Okay. What do you do about prayer intentions involving someone who is in crisis or may require immediate counseling? Have you had any of those kind of requests?
Well, not so much that. I mean, I wouldn't even have a way to contact them.
Right.
This is all confidential. And although I did have someone a while back they were looking for a priest for the sacrament of anointing of the sick. Their loved ones in a hospital in the diocese, and so they gave me the phone number, and so I asked Emily to follow up on that, and they had found a priest by then, and it was in town here, so I would have gone over and anointed that person. I was ready to do that, but they'd found a priest by the time I got that request. So, but yeah, if it's a crisis situation, I mean, there's lots of crises here, but not something that I can do anything about.
Right.
So, like somebody suicidal.
Right. I was wondering about if you get anything like that.
Right. I haven't had that. I have to think about how he would handle that. But.
What prayer intention hasn't been asked that you wish would be asked?
Well, actually, there's a number of them. There's it's interesting, just how what you get. There's only 5 people have asked me to pray about the pandemic.
Wow.
You would have thought. I mean, I don't know. The homeless, people are homeless, people are poor. About 4 or 5 praying for that situation, which is okay. What's on people's minds. Obviously, their own relationships with others and people who have health needs and all that. Racism, 7. Vocations. This big pitch on how many you think have asked for prayers for vocations? Increase in vocations. How many do you think?
I would have thought maybe 25 or
1.
Really?
1. So here we may say, pray for vocation. We need vocations. What does that say? No, it's interesting. Abortion, that's a big issue for a lot of people. 5 have asked me to pray about that, on that issue.
Huh.
I don't know. The church, there's lots of issues in the church. There's like about 10 or 11 have asked me to pray for specific church issues. Addictions, that's a big deal out there, and there's maybe 7 or 8. I have on my list 8 of people requests for that. Immigrants, just 1, about immigrant issues. The environment, 1. Farming, 1.
Very interesting.
1 prayed asked for something about weather. I don't remember what that was. So maybe that was, but just 1 or 2. So.
I wonder if it's the way that this whole idea was presented. Maybe people thought it was supposed to be.
I don't know.
Personal?
You wrote it up, Barb. How did you present it?
I wrote it up based on what you know.
No, I don't know.
Your ideas. So I'll blame it on you.
No, well, I don't think we talked about any specific
no,
thing
we
that people
didn't.
could pray about.
It was So you're right. It's people are, but they're more focused on their own, really individual needs, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. So, but in terms of like surprises, or going back to that, some fun ones are like somebody asked me to pray for their dog that was lost. So that was one that's kind of fun. deliverance from the evil one. That's not necessarily fun, but there's two, three of those. Discernment, ask them to pray for that they could help just make it, which is great. I mean, we're sure there's a lot more about that. What do I do in this situation or that? Sexuality, some same-sex situations, not a lot, but some ask me for prayers for that. Conception of a child, couple.
Wow.
Which is those are delightful, that kind of a thing. I mean, it's hard for that couple, but it's nice to be able to pray for, be asked to pray for that. So, yeah, that's kind of what some of the things I have been getting.
So what have these prayers kind of taught you about the faithful in our diocese? I shouldn't say taught you, but what impressions do you get based on the kind of prayer intentions you've received?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of challenges out there. I've been mentioning those, lots of fears, concerns, lots of burdens people are bearing. People are sympathetic. There's empathy for others. There's people care a lot about others. Most of these are for somebody else rather than themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
So they like trust in God. They're turning to God, and God bless them. There's recently I got one. Well, actually, one week there were two different people were talking about if it's God's will or according to God's will, which is really great. So it's like, we want God, do exactly this, and we think we know what's best for us, I often end when we do petitions at Mass, ask God to hear these prayers and answer them as you think best. I always do. That's my thing. 'Cause
I've heard you say that.
I always say that because that's where it's at. I mean, what my motto is, your will be done for my episcopacy. So and I was thinking about today at Mass, the gospel is about the Canaanite woman, and her daughter is tormented by a demon, and she perseveres in her prayer, and Jesus finally, okay. I mean, St. Augustine once said that we pray in order to expand our will to accept what God is going to give us, which is, a nice thing in terms of if it's God's will. And so this Canaanite woman models the proper attitude toward God. There's a combination of humility and boldness, deference and defiance. So that's kind of people. That a lot of times people that ask me to pray for them, there's this humility, but they're kind of bold. That God, I need this, and sometimes their language comes across as, your will, God, but. Kind of get on it, God. It's all right, if you want to get on this thing.
Yes, because you're supposed to keep knocking and asking, and
And
I've learned so often in my life that what I think should happen or what I expected is answered in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because I find that maybe years later I'll think, oh my gosh, that prayer was answered, and I didn't know it at the time, or I didn't understand it at the time, but in as I'm reflecting, I can see how that prayer.
Right. So I was I'm trying to be confidential here in terms of.
Right.
But there's one I can talk about. I got a number of requests to pray for this 4-year-old boy from Hills, Iowa, and he was at the Children's Hospital in Iowa City, and so I've been praying for him, and I kind of lost track of that. And preparing for this podcast, I was kind of looking at some of these prayer requests, and I came across that, and I was thinking, wonder what would happen to that little boy, And I had lunch with the retired priests that live here. I live at the St. Vincent Center, just a little while ago, a couple hours ago, and Father Speakermeyer is living here now, and so I said, what? And he was talking. Actually, I didn't even have to ask about it. He was talking about that boy had died, and the funeral was last week, and he went back and he preached at it, and I was like, oh man, I just was thinking about him last night. I was preparing for this podcast, wondering how he was doing, and so I mean, that's a sad deal, obviously, but I don't know. It pulled a lot of people together, in terms of that whole thing. There's a lot of people pulling for that kid, and so God's will, I mean, God let this boy die, and why did God do that? Well, I don't know. One thing that I can see is that, you hate for something bad to pull people together. That's
Right.
unfortunate, but I don't know. That was something that happened in that situation. But anyway.
I had an interesting prayer experience where I had been praying for a woman in Clinton, and I didn't know her personally, but I went up to the Clinton parish for some event I was covering, like a couple of years later, and I'd been praying for this woman. I don't know how that came about. And I was in line to get food with people, and the woman in front of me had on a polka dot dress, and I like polka dots, so I complimented her on her dress. And she had introduced herself, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I've been praying for you for the last 2 years."
Right.
And she was delighted. She was so thrilled to know that
Sure.
someone was still praying for her.
I've had experiences like that.
And so that
as
was
well.
kind of cool. But so I'm wondering, have you received any feedback or follow-ups from people about prayers being answered or not answered, or?
Yes, I have a few times, not like a lot, but so here's one. I thought for once it may be nice to hear how a prayer request may have turned out. With you, myself, my family, Jesus, and God, the prayers have been answered. So this person, so she told me what the request was that was answered, so that was nice. Another person said, I wanted to let you know that my 3 prayers I asked you to intercede for me were answered and still in the works, but with progress. And so then this person kind of explains, those different things that she'd asked for and to be prayed for, and then what was going on with that. So so once in a while they'll let me know.
That's encouraging, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's nice that they took the time to let me know what's going on.
I'm wondering, how has this prayer effort affected your own prayer life in general?
So it's kind of I pray for the people of the diocese every Mass and every day in my personal prayer, and so that's a very sort of general thing, somewhat abstract, just praying for this group of people that, whatever. But so it's helped concretize and particularize my prayer, make it more focused, more real in terms of my relationship with the diocese and my role here. And so, and it's, there's this bonding that is kind of taken place through this. I'll give you some examples of that, what people have said, so it makes me just feel closer to the folks and more like I want to be their shepherd, because these people are hurting, and I want to walk with them and be there for them. So like some things that another kind of a fun thing is one couple, I just noticed this, one couple asked me to pray that their wedding goes well. It was going to be the next month, and that they have a strong, healthy, holy, loving, long marriage.
Oh, that's great. That's
like
great.
For a young couple,
Yeah.
they kind of feel that's kind of nice. So no, some of the things people have said. So they tell me I'm praying for them. I pray for you daily. So people have said that in this thing, and just they're asked for prayer, but then they kind of throw that in there. Oh, that's nice to hear. Somehow it makes it so personal to know that you will be praying for us. Knowing that you are praying for so-and-so will help us accept what has to be done. So just I'm part.
Wow.
It's nice to be a part of this thing and be walking with them. And then people like, you have a direct line, so like as if, we talked about that
funny.
last time we talked about these prayer intentions and did a podcast. There's like, people sometimes, it's like hardly, but whatever. I mean, one more person anyway. Some kind of couple really delightful things that is kind of I jotted down because I wanted to remember. So one time someone said, "I will meet you in my prayers."
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so like that idea that you're connected in your prayers. I will meet you in my prayers. We'll pray for this thing. We'll meet, and which is kind of neat. And then another one. There was somebody that lost their middle-aged middle-aged child, in a month previously, and they said, this is really, really, really delightful. It's a hard thing, but they said, here's this, parent grieving. That's it. You would have loved her.
Oh, gosh.
Isn't that nice? You would have loved her.
Yeah.
She was so great, and so that was cool.
Wow, I bet that brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah, no, it does. I was like, you would have loved her. Like, think about that. If you
Oh,
if
yeah.
you had a child that died, and you're talking to somebody about them, asking them to pray for you grieving and your child who's died, and to say you would have loved her and loved him.
Oh, that's very
yeah,
touching.
it is really.
Wow. So these prayers have really touched your life. They've really had an impact.
Yeah.
Did you anticipate that, or?
Well, I mean, people, apart from this thing, people ask priests and
Right.
and you and everybody to please pray for me and everything. But
Right.
this is more. I mean, it's not that random sort of thing. It's more systematized and more requests.
Right.
So it's more profound in that manner, and more sort of just like, there's all these weighty stuff that people are dealing with, and to be able to help share that load spiritually, walk with them, that's a privilege, a humble privilege.
But the fact that they have a name that you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that? I think the idea that you're praying for someone, it's sort of like you said, it concretizes, but it makes it personal.
Yeah, right.
It makes it.
I mean, and that can happen when anybody, just
Right.
in any walk in life. People asking you to pray for this one person, but then when it's the more of those that there are, the deeper it becomes, that relationship you have with them spiritually, and the bond, and you're sharing their journey, and we're pilgrims together on this
Right.
thing, and we're in solidarity and that whole thing.
I like what you said about the idea of praying, your prayers coming together. That's like the communion of saints that you talked about.
Yeah,
at the
it
altar.
is. Yeah, no, it is. It's exactly that. I'll meet you in my prayers. We all meet together.
Yeah.
We meet each other in our prayers, really,
That's awesome.
because we're connecting our prayers to God, and so it's all directed to God. It's like, there's. Have you ever heard, like, there's a wheel, and so here we are on the wheel, the outside, the wheel part of it, and then there's spokes going to the hub.
Yeah.
So as we're going to God, in this case prayer, we're praying, and the closer we go to God, the closer we get to each other, right?
Yeah.
Because you're starting out this circumference on the
Right.
wheel. It's large, and then you get closer to the hub. So we're getting. So this is that's what that idea of meet you in my prayers, I think, says to me is. So I'm on the wheel like this other person, and we're praying for this particular situation, and to God, and the hub, and the closer we get to God, the closer we get to each other.
That is so cool. That's just a beautiful thought. I hadn't thought about that. I think about that maybe when I pray the Liturgy of the Hours, and realizing that there are all these people who are praying
Sure.
the Liturgy of the Hours together.
Yeah, same thing.
And so that's cool. That's a really
Yeah, that's exactly that kind of a
kind
thing.
of it's kind of comforting in a way, I think.
Right. And
or-
communion of saints is a good
Yeah.
term for that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
So what if any plans do you have to evolve this prayer commitment?
I have no plans except maybe we should do a follow-up story. Maybe you could cover, to talk about some of this stuff or something, whatever, and just, it wouldn't have to be a large article, but something to put it on the table again.
I think it would be great. I mean, because I think people need that reminder and that invitation, maybe not a reminder, but an invitation that you're still praying and you welcome those prayers.
Right. So people invite you over to their house for dinner. Thank you. Then, a certain amount of time later, they invite you over again. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of a thing.
Exactly. So, any other parting thoughts about prayer?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts about prayer,
Or about prayer intentions, perhaps.
No, not at this point.
Well, you're in
keep
my
on.
prayer intentions.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I-
Barb, you haven't sent any yet.
Well, I call you. I didn't know if I should.
I think you've asked me to pray for things outside of this
I probably have asked you
for
to pray for
sure,
things
but-
outside.
But no, there's been interesting. Like there's been people here at the St. Vincent Center, priests. They don't so much ask for prayers for themselves, but for somebody else in the parish. There's people out there that a lot of people I don't know, but there are plenty that I do know.
I'll probably send a prayer intention for peace, racial justice.
Yeah,
Let's see, what
right.
were these other ones?
Right.
Sorry. No. I mean, I do include all those prayers, but I appreciate your story about the prayer intentions is just beautiful, and I appreciate your sharing them with us.
It's a beautiful ministry. I'm happy to do this. It's not a chore or something. It's something it's good for me too, in terms
Yeah.
of just drawing closer to the folks and spiritually.
That's great. Well, next month we'll have another very interesting.
It'll probably be so
Action package.
exciting and just
That
I can
you can't-
hardly.
you
Well, I
can't-
don't even know what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be.
People are going to be so excited.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I probably won't sleep the night before.
Thank you for joining us on another session of Catholic Conversations.